Subscribe to our channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Kautilya's Fincast.
Welcome to Kautilya's Fincast for March 11th to 20th, 2021.
Let's begin with corporate news.
A customer needs to waive the wearable at a point-of-sale machine at merchant outlets for transactions up to 5,000 rupees. Beyond this, a PIN is required to complete the transaction. The EV charger, branded as Charge Grid Flare, is a charger incorporated within energy-efficient street lamp columns. With this launch, HPCL's tally of EV charging facility goes up to 50. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers will be able to play 16 of the 20 titles across platforms, including PC, console, and mobile devices. The fresh capital will help Amazon Pay compete with well-funded rivals Paytm, PhonePe, and Google Pay. This is the third major funding tranche that Amazon Pay has received from parent Amazon since the beginning of last year. In the filing with the Competition Commission, Tata Digital, a wholly owned unit of Tata Sons, proposed to buy 64.3% of an entity that runs business-to-business sales for Big Basket. SpiceJet will also be the first to connect Pune with Darbhanga, Durgapur, Gwalior, Jabalpur, and Varanasi. It will also launch multiple new flights connecting Srinagar with Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, and Kolkata. Google will introduce a new Jetpack Tiles library, which fills features from third-party developers for its Wear operating system. The operating system functions on smartwatches and is used by companies like Fitbit, Fossil, and more. Car maker Volkswagen will shed up to 5,000 jobs between now and the end of 2023 as a part of cost-cutting to finance its transition to electric vehicles. The Chinese government wants Alibaba Group Holding Limited to sell some of its media assets because of growing concerns about the technology giant's influence over public opinion in the country. Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone will partner with John Keells Holdings plc, Sri Lanka's largest diversified conglomerate, and with the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, as a part of the consortium awarded this mandate. Azure Migration Program allows organizations to plan and implement Azure migration projects using Microsoft Cloud adoption methodologies, tools, resources, and best practices. The decision to part ways with as much as 10% of its workforce follows an annual report that left investors disappointed by the prospect of a continued slide in revenue. Existing investors and a bunch of individuals bought out Shunway's stake in Bombinate Technologies Private Limited, which is the parent company of Ku and Vakal, the owner of the world's largest portfolio of 5G patents, will negotiate rates and potential cross-licensing with the iPhone maker and Samsung Electronics. The Rise Fund will hold a minority stake in AMC BV upon completion of the transaction, with Airtel Africa continuing to hold the remaining majority stake. Post-pandemic aircraft leasing market will likely be even more favorable to those, like AirCap, able to profit from scale and network effects. The merger of the two biggest players is a bet it will become even more important. The platform will enable simpler and faster digital payments and provide a personalized user experience, which aligns with the evolution of mobile-based consumer behavior. Geely, the owner of Volvo Cars and 9.7% of Daimler AG, will roll out models under the new mark based on its open-source SEV chassis. The company will open showrooms, or hubs, in city centers to sell cars at a fixed price, departing from traditions. The undo tweet button will have a timer, meaning it will function more like Gmail's unsend feature, which allows users a finite amount of time to unsend a sent email. The ZHPG chip is the first PC gaming chip coming from Intel. The company has already tied up with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company to make these chips.
Let's begin with market news.
SEBI has formed a group of experts to examine the feasibility of introducing special purpose acquisition companies, while at the same time building adequate checks and balances in the regulatory framework to take care of the associated risks. IDBI Bank improved its score on 3 of the 4 parameters tracked by RBI and is out of a prompt corrective action scheme. While the bank has made provisions, its asset quality and risk management are still big concerns. 9 out of 10 stocks sold by mutual funds were large caps, amid continuing withdrawal of investments from equity schemes. Most mutual funds were underweight in banking stocks and overweight on capital goods in February. BNP Paribas Cardiff has launched a share sale to offload at least 3.5% of its stake in SBI Life Insurer. But the valuation of the price band of Rs 870 to 917 per share is lower than the market value. Bitcoin has risen sharply this year, broadly outperforming conventional asset classes, partly due to broader acceptance as a form of payment. It has crossed a record high of $60,000. Binance Holdings Limited, the operator of the largest cryptocurrency exchange, is weighing whether to register with the US's futures regulator. India's foreign exchange reserves surpassed Russia's to become the world's fourth largest, as the South Asian nation's central bank continues to hoard dollars to cushion the economy against any sudden outflows. Investors in Prestige Estates Projects Limited heaved a sigh of relief after phase 1 of its deal with the Blackstone Group concluded. Prestige has reduced debt by 4,594 crore post phase 1 deal. Shares of public sector banks fell as employees went on a nationwide strike to protest against the proposed privatization of two state-owned lenders. Employees Provident Fund Organization has invested about 28,000 crore in the stock market from April 2020 to February 2021. SEBI put in place a uniform policy to streamline the reconciliation process among intermediaries about initial public offers, as well as a new mechanism to compensate investors as natural gas demand remains strong. GAIL Limited's prospects continue to improve further. The stock has risen almost 69% since the start of November. The valuations are attractive and fundamentals are improving, say analysts. Benchmark US Treasury yields hit a fresh 13-month high, and a gauge of global stocks dropped as investors awaited the highly anticipated outcome of the latest Federal Reserve meeting. Punjab National Bank has incorporated NB Cards and Services, a wholly owned subsidiary of the bank. The new entity will undertake non-financial support services related to the bank's credit card business. Shares of Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited have corrected more than 5%. Analysts attribute this to investors' disappointment with the latest dividend. The street was banking on a generous dividend payout after BPCL's recent asset sales. US 10-year Treasury yields hit their highest levels in 13 months in London, climbing above 1.70% for the first time since January. India's rupee is the only currency in Asia to strengthen amid in March rout in risk assets. The rupee has advanced 1.3% in March, boosted by $2.4 billion of overseas purchases of local stocks. The board of Aarti Drugs approved buyback of up to 6 lakh fully paid-up equity shares, representing up to 0.64% of the total number of equity shares, for 1,000 rupees per share. Cryptocurrency exchange operator Coinbase Incorporated agreed Friday to pay $6.5 million to settle regulatory claims that it reported misleading information about its trading volumes. China needs to balance opening up its markets with preventing potential risks, and must curb massive foreign capital flows, according to the head of the nation's securities regulator.
Let's begin with economy news.
The cow is a foundation of the Indian economy, as it gives milk for nutrition, and its dung and urine help in agriculture. Natural farming is entirely dependent on indigenous breeds. Two important data sets were brought out recently by MOSPI on second advance estimates of national income for 2020-21 and first revised estimates on income, consumption, saving, and capital formation for 2019-20. CMIE stated that the index of consumer sentiments rose by 2% in February 2021, after the improvement of 1.7% in January 2020, and that of 2.7% in December 2020. The effort was written off in the short run, but less than a decade after it was introduced, it has mobilized technology at the grassroots, tapping into the country's huge domestic potential. A fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic, radical reforms was ushered in across a range of sectors, and asserted that India has had the sharpest recovery among the major economies. Data obtained roughly shows 10.3 million undocumented immigrants in the US, 5,87,000 are of Indian origin, says a recently released report published by think tank New American Economy. The introduction of drastic changes to the monetary policy could upset bond markets. The monetary policy has helped bring inflation down, while giving the RBI some flexibility to support the economy. Economic activity is expected to consolidate in March 2021, as the COVID-19 impacted the difficult financial year 2020-21 is winding down with new hopes for the next financial year. The country's gross domestic product grew 0.4% in the October to December quarters. However, the growth numbers of 2022-23 will reflect the actual economic conditions, not financial year 2021-22 numbers. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman discussed the global economic outlook with US Secretary of Treasury, Janet Yellen, wherein the latter appreciated India's contribution to the vaccine efforts. Post-pandemic has been eradicated. The first step should be ensuring there are adequate jobs in the economy, and history has shown that growth alone cannot guarantee job or wage growth. 30% of the ultra-wealthy Indians placed transferring of the wealth to the next generation in the top 3 worries, while the 16% respondents see it as an exciting opportunity. Despite the pandemic due to coronaviruses, the startup venture capitalists invested $10 billion in 2020 in India, and the momentum is expected to continue in 2021 as well. India and Bangladesh are expected to sign an economic partnership agreement over the next 5 years, which will preserve the trade rights for Bangladesh to enhance the economic statuses in the Indian economy. The large capital expenditure announced by the Indian government will support economic activity and investment. It is expected to crowd private investments in the economy. India's economy is estimated to contract by 6.9% in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic, is forecast to record a stronger recovery in 2021 and grow by 5% due to just 1 year of economic unrest caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The number of middle-class individuals has fallen to 66 million from a pre-pandemic estimate of 99 million. In the upcoming terms, prospects are favorable, but the second COVID wave is a risk to recoveries. Most of the professional forecasters have projected double-digit growth for India in financial year 2022. There is a restless urgency in the air in India to resume high growth, and incoming data point to even contact-intensive services, such as personal care, recreation, and hospitality gathering traction. The US Federal Reserve had a day earlier maintained the overnight interest rates near to zero, even though it expects growth and inflation to rise in the coming months.